class, and welcome to your lesson on adding and subtracting polynomials. So what's nice about this lesson is it really brings us back to Module 1 where we learned how to combine like terms. There's just one extra step with it. Okay, so the first one we're going to do is we're going to look at adding polynomials because that one is the easiest. I'm going to go ahead and write the steps over here for you. So your first step when adding, I'm going to make sure you put that in parentheses because it's a little different when we do subtraction, is I'm going to drop the parentheses. Okay, so first thing we do is we drop the parentheses. Okay, so I have 2x squared minus 3x plus 4 plus 3x squared plus 2x minus 3. Okay, so that's step 1. And then step 2 is to combine your like terms. Okay, so we have 2x squared and 3x squared. That's going to give me, if I can write, 5x squared. Now I have negative 3x plus 2x, so that gives me, and you can either write it as plus negative 1x, or you can just write it as minus x. And then I have positive 4 minus 3, which is a positive 1, so plus 1. And that's it. So when you're adding polynomials, it really is pretty much the same thing as when you combine like terms, okay? You just gotta drop that parenthesis. Okay, let's do another example with this one. Okay, so first step, I'm going to drop these parentheses. So I have 2x cubed minus 2x plus 8 plus 4x cubed minus 8x squared minus 7. Okay, so we drop the parentheses, step 1. Now, step 2, I'm going to combine those like terms. And now, personally, I like to write them in descending order, so I always look for the highest exponent. So in this case, we have an x cubed, so 2x cubed. I have a 4x cubed, so 2x cubed plus 4x cubed. That gives me 6x cubed. Okay, the next thing I would look for is any x squareds. Well, I see one of them hanging out right here. So there's another one to combine it, so we just bring it down. So minus 8x squared. Okay, next thing I'm going to look for is the x. So I have one of those, minus 2x, nothing to combine, so we just bring it down. And then we have a plus 8 minus 7, so 8 minus 7 gives me a positive 1. And that's my answer. Okay, so again, when you are adding polynomials, your first step, drop the parenthesis, and then combine your like terms. 2 steps. Okay, so let's see what happens now when we subtract. So very similar. There's just going to be one extra step with it. So your first step is to distribute the negative. And that's that subtraction, okay? So remember, back from Module 1, I talked about, so remember, subtraction is just adding the opposite. And I'm going to write it on this one just so you can see it, but you don't have to do it every single time. So 7x squared, or cubed, minus 3x plus 1. Now I'm going to change subtraction to addition, and then putting that negative 1 in front, because that's what that is implying. Okay, so that's why I say step 1 is to distribute that negative, because again, subtraction is just adding that opposite. So we're making everything in this second parenthesis the opposite. So if you don't want to think about distributing the negative, you could think about it as, well, we're adding the opposite, so we're making everything opposite, which means if it's positive, it's now negative, and if it's negative, it's now positive. Okay, so now we can go ahead, so after we redistribute, what I can do now is I'm going to actually drop those parentheses. So now we're very similar to what we did with the addition. So I have 7x cubed minus 3x plus 1. And again, I'm distributing this negative here. So this is positive, now it's negative. And that one's negative, so now it's positive. And again, that's just because I'm taking a negative times a positive or a negative times a negative. Okay, and then the last step, which is identical to the addition, is now we want to combine our like terms. Okay, so I only see 1x cubed. And sometimes if you want to, you can just cancel it out there, cross it out. Oops, and see that's why I do that, because I missed one. Very easy to do. That's why I like to cross them out or underline so I see it. So I have 7. You need to do that's minus 1. So 7 minus 1 is 6. So I have 6x cubed. Now I'm going to go to the x squared. So there's no other ones. So minus 4x squared minus 3x. And then we have 1 plus 2, which is 3. So there. So that is with subtraction. So again, subtraction, just you add that one extra step and then everything else is the same. So let's go ahead and do one more example. Okay. So again, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this negative right here. I'm not doing anything over here. It's kind of like the first two steps are the same. I'm distributing the second one and dropping the parentheses at the same time. So again, I could just think about it. If it's positive, it's now negative, and if it's negative, it's now positive. Okay. Now again, we're going to combine those like terms. So I have 4x cubed minus 5x cubed. That gives me a negative 1x cubed, or you could just write negative x cubed. It is all the same. Only got 1x squared. Got only 1x. This is really nice math. And then plus 9 minus 2, which gives me a positive 7. Okay, so that is the lesson on adding and subtracting polynomials. Again, I hope you see a lot of similarity in what we did with Module 1 to make this one a little bit easier for you. Have a great day.